Welcome back to the 9th Gym program, and today we are continuing the Crown Tundra Guide series with Celesteela. Celesteela has been a really powerful Pokemon in this format with multiple ways of play, even seeing Life Orb Dynamax variants actually being the most used, in my opinion. Actually, it's about 50-50. We still have the, of course, Leech Seed Protect variant that was very strong, in past formats in VGC 2017 in its debut, as well as new versions like the Life Orb Dynamax version that is doing a lot of damage and making waves in the meta currently, and even newly discovered versions of Meteor Beam, Power Herb kind of deals with Celesteela as well. So a lot of different ways to use this Pokemon. Steel Flying typing is actually really solid, only having 2 weaknesses of Fire and Electric, while having 2 immunities as well of Poison and Ground, and a bunch of resistances, being a very solid typing. Typing, as well as really well-rounded stats, as well as a great ability and a decent move pool, really makes this Pokemon a really solid Pokemon just in general. Talking about stats, HP at 97, which is pretty average, but defense at 103 and special defense at 101 makes this Pokemon fairly bulky, especially since it has access to its own Dynamax moves that can buff those with, moves like Max Steel Spike, as well as, partner Pokemon moves that can do that as well. You have a lot of ways to eliminate your weaknesses, things like Lightning Rod and Rain. Making this Pokemon all around just a pretty bulky threat that can be really good. And it can just sit there, Leech Seed, and Protect, and then heal, which is crazy. As far as its offense goes, it's pretty medium. Attack at 101 isn't crazy. Special attack at 107 isn't crazy. They're fine. It's not bad for a Pokemon that isn't, really designed to do an insane amount of damage. But like I said, with things like Power Herb, Meteor Beam, things like Life Orb, max investments, you can actually do a pretty solid amount of damage with this Pokemon, which is kind of crazy because this Pokemon shouldn't be doing so much damage. As far as speed goes, at 61, that's not crazy, but you do have things like Automatize that you can even use. Probably in singles, you're probably not going to be using this in doubles very frequently, but it is a cool thing that you can do, being able to double your speed. You have Max Airstream to do your speed. You have Tailwind that can help you, and it can even work under Trick Room. So this Pokemon really is a well-rounded and very, versatile Pokemon that can work with a lot of teams. As far as its ability goes, it's just Beast Boost, nothing too crazy there. Every Ultra Beast has it. Whenever you knock out a Pokemon, you raise your highest stat, which will most likely either be a defensive stat if you're going for a defensive build, or a special attack if you're going for an offensive build. So either way, it is definitely good, and Beast Boost can come in really clutch, and it's very good. Without further ado, let's get into the actual sets that I have created for today's video. So the first one is going to be a defensive build. It's running, the classic Leftovers Leech Seed. We ran Substitute on it, and a very defensive EV spread as well. Pretty basic stuff. This is what we are expecting out of Celesteela, is a Leftovers Leech Seed Protect Substitute set. It's very, it's the tried and true version of Celesteela, and for good reason. It's very strong, and is still taking, very high placements at, the online events that are happening now, and it's just good. Beast Boost, you can't really change anything there. And then as far as the EV spread, I just went 252 into HP, 20 into defense, and 236 into special defense. This was a really special defensive build that I made. It covers a lot of the big threats in the current meta. We have a lot of Pokemon that are really strong, things like Regieleki. We have Heatran, Rotom Heat, and this spread can definitely live a lot of those things. I think specially defensive Celesteela is really good, as well as, physically defensive, but this is the route that I went for our defensive Celesteela build today. Yeah, it's pretty good. You'll see in the damage calcs, I have specific damage calcs here further on if you, want to watch that part of the video. Other than that, as far as the set goes, the move that I went with was Heavy Slam, Leech Seed, Substitute, and Protect. Most of those are very classic. Of course, we have the Leech Seed and Protect, and then I went for a Heavy Slam just because, it's a pretty light meta, I guess. I don't know. I went for Heavy Slam just because it's the classic, attack for Celesteela, but you can definitely go for something like Flash Cannon if you're afraid of Intimidate. All the Intimidate Pokemon are really strong against this Pokemon, so I wouldn't, not use that just because of that. So, you can definitely customize it as you will with using something like Flash Cannon instead of the Heavy Slam. Makes sense. And then I went for Substitute on this Pokemon as well. I like the Substitute. It's really classic. You can punish your opponent for not worrying about Celesteela. You get a couple of Leech Seeds up, you get Substitute, and this thing is just so impossible to deal with, especially after their Dynamax is gone and they don't have access to ways to just supplement their damage like an unbelievable amount. and Celesteela can just run away with games. It can single-handedly just do everything. It's very much so like Milotic in the last format or a few formats ago, where you could run into the situation where you're 1v3, 1v4, 1v2ing Pokemon and actually winning. And Celesteela is one of those Pokemon that are capable of doing that. Leftovers plus Leech Seed is just so much health regained. It's nuts. And with Substitute, it's crazy. Anyway, that is it for our classic defensive Celesteela. Now let's talk about the new versions. We have Life Orb. The reason I didn't add a Power Herb set is because it's not going to be very different. You're just running Meteor Beam and Power Herb instead of Life Orb in one of the attacks, most likely Flamethrower. Or even Protect, you could just run 4 attacks. So there are different options here, but let's talk about it. So Celesteela at Life Orb. This is the first set. It's Life Orb, just giving us an extra 1.3 times damage, which is very solid, at the cost of a little bit of our HP, but that's okay because it's going to be a Dynamax Celesteela that is constantly boosting and giving itself some boosts with things like Flash Cannon and Air Slash. I went for Flamethrower, even though it's kind of, counterintuitive if your opponent has any kind of fire coverage, because it is super effective. So then it will be super effective doubled with the Sun. So, you will want to be careful with that and maybe switch that. It's up to you. But I left it in there. I thought it was cool. EVs, 252 HP, 252 special attack, and 4 speed. I went for the 4 speed in the leftover. That could go to defense. That could go to special defense. Probably defense, just because, our format is very physical heavy. But, of course, I wanted to be Modest Nature with max special attack, just so we're doing the most amount of damage with that in Life Orb. Since this Pokemon's base damage output isn't too insane, at, what was it, 101? Yeah, 101 attack, or 107 special attack, rather. So, Celesteela is not doing an insane amount of damage, so I wanted to supplement that as much as possible. 252 HP just because I was too lazy to make an EV spread for the Celesteela. It felt like Dynamax Celesteela could really tank almost anything, especially with Pokemon like Politoed to, cover your fire weakness, as well as Pokemon like Raichu to cover your electric weakness. So I just felt like, this kind of Celesteela should have those kind of supportive Pokemon that kind of help it not die immediately. And so I just went into HP and thought it made sense. So yeah, IV 0 attack. We don't have physical attack, so might as well go for that. And then we have Flash Cannon, Air Slash, Flamethrower, and Protect. I want to Protect on this Pokemon because it is going to be a Dynamax big Pokemon. It sucks to use Max Guard, but a lot of the time you have to use Max Guard because you'll just die, and that would suck. So having that buffer turn is good. And then you have dual stab of Flash Cannon and Air Slash, and then Flamethrower for coverage. This is a customizable set, and like I said, Power Herb and Meteor Beam is a very, very viable way to use this Pokemon as well. Probably over the Flamethrower slot to use Meteor Beam and then Power Herb instead of Life Orb. It's very strong. The Power Herb Meteor Beam strat is very, very strong, especially in Pokemon like Nihilego right now. Celesteela is no exception. That is still a very strong strat for that as well. Just being able to go +1 in special attack, and then you just Dynamax, and the Pokemon is just insane, getting beast boosts as well as the first +1 from Meteor Beam. You're just doing a lot of damage, and it's a really cool way of using it, and I kind of am talking myself into using that more than the Life Orb variant, as we were saying it. So I think, it's great using that newly found strat with Meteor Beam. So awesome stuff. It's not a very customizable set. There are only a couple of flex moves that I think are very, very strong. Of course, I missed some probably. You can make a case for a lot of random moves. But Giga Drain is okay. It's pretty good pretty good coverage, not stab. Pretty good coverage, which isn't bad. And then we also have Wide Guard as well. Wide Guard is not bad in our current format. We have a lot of Earthquake. Well, Earthquake wouldn't be that great against this, but we have it for Rock Slide, Discharge, Heat Wave. There's a lot of moves right now that are being seen play that are multi-targeting, so Wide Guard is not bad. A couple of other items that are cool. We already talked about Power Herb, but we also have things like Weakness Policy or Assault Vest making, usage stats, so those items are definitely cool. I'm not really using those, but I definitely see that, you can use them, and I think they're kind of cool, so couple of cool things. As far as our synergetic Pokemon go, I have the Raichu here for Lightning Rod to cover our weakness, as well as the Politoed to cover our weakness for Fire. So that's kind of those two Pokemon. They're really just to support these Pokemon. Usually going to be used on the offensive Celesteela team, since that is going to be, you know, your main attacker. So of course you want to support that very well. But you also do, you know, they have seen play on things like Leech Seed teams of Celesteela, just being able to be a win con on their own, with other Pokemon being able to, you know, be a win con as well. So it's really good. The last energetic Pokemon here that I have is Tyranitar. It just covers really well, you know, being able to destroy most fire and electric Pokemon, and not really caring about either of those Pokemon as well. So, you know, any kind of heat wave scenario is really only harming Celesteela. So you just go protect, and then you kill it with the Tyranitar, and it's looking pretty good. Weakness policy, Tyranitar is also capable of weakening or lowering our stats in Celesteela, and also Rock Slides are great for lowering, you know, HP to put Celesteela into beast boosting range to kill things and get that beast boost. So a lot of different little synergies there. Tyranitar is not a bad Pokemon on this team. Anyway, that is about it for the guide and overall, you know, these movesets. So let's move on to some speed tiers. Speed tiers are not too in favor of Celesteela, as we are in a very top heavy speed format. A lot of things between that 150 and 200 range that are just by far outspeeding Celesteela, even after a max airstream, and in some cases even 2 max airstreams. 81 is not a great speed tier to be at, but it is on the same speed tier as other Pokemon. Tyranitar at neutral speed and Celesteela at min speed. Couple of good things to note there. Couple of Pokemon that you are outspeeding are, of course, the Trick Room Pokemon, but we also have things like Grimmsnarl, Lapras, Sylveon, Marowak, Alola, Conkeldurr, and then, you know, everything below in that you know, very low speed tier range. Trick Room is very popular. We have a lot of Pokemon there. Porygon 2, Dusclops, Glastrier, so many Pokemon that we are outspeeding, which is very good, until the, you know, inevitable Trick Room activates. We are outsped by a lot of Pokemon. Like I said, there are a lot of Pokemon in the 150 to 200 range. It is a very top-heavy speed format. But there are other Pokemon that are in a lower speed tier that we will outspeed after a max airstream, but will not be outspeeding initially. Things like Politoed, Hitmontop, Heatran, Suicune, Rillaboom, Tapu Fini, Cresselia, and DDF. That is such a populated speed tier 105. And a lot of other Pokemon between that 105 and 150 range that we may be able to outspeed after a max airstream. So good stuff to know there. And Celesteela, you know, it's not great speed tier, but it's not bad, and it can supplement its own speed with max airstream, so it's not bad. Next, we have our damage calcs. So, the first 3 are going to be defensive Celesteela, and then the last 3 are going to be offensive Celesteela, just to, you know, show off the damage and, you know, not that much damage that this Pokemon can dish out or take. So, first off, into our defensive Celesteela, we have a 252 plus attack, special attack, Transistor, Regieleki, Thunderbolt. This is without choice specs. This is without Magnet. But without those moves, a lot of them are using Light Clay right now. You have some Focus Sash Regieleki, so if they are opting for that but still going for 252 plus special attack, and with Thunderbolt they are hitting into our 252 HP, 236 special defense Celesteela, hitting 82 to 98. This was one of the big reasons why I went for this spread, so that we could live this attack. Guaranteed 2-hit KO from the non-Magnet, non-choice specs Regieleki, which is very, very strong. So guaranteed 2-hit KO there is very good. Incineroar, Flare, Blitz, only hitting 85%, 71 to 85, with a 4 attack spread, so it, you know, it has a little bit of room for a little bit more investment to not die, guaranteed 2-hit KO. These are all non-Dynamaxed, by the way, for our Celesteela. Next, we have Rotom Heat, 116 plus. This is the most used currently on Pikalytics. Into our Celesteela of 252 HP and 236 special D, hitting 74 to 88, almost the same as the Incineroar. Very, very close. Guaranteed 2-hit KO nonetheless. Non-Dynamaxed. Very solid damage calc to have. Next, we have Special Attacking Life Orb, Celesteela Max, Special Attacking Life Orb, Celesteela Max Airstream. Into our Dynamaxed Venusaur, hitting 88 to 105, which is a 31% chance to OHKO. Now, in Sun, max damage, max flare does really close to the same amount of damage, so you know, you have that to know, which is a good a neat thing to know. So yeah, but if we are meteor power herbed, then like the +1, the max flare in Sun just takes this Pokemon out, and so with the max airstream. So that was a dumb thing to say. Anyway, it's good stuff. Being able to almost knock out Venusaur guaranteed. almost and guaranteed in the same sentence. You like that one? 31% chance to Oka, though, is pretty good. It's not something I would, like, you know, lean on or anything, but a lot of the time, Venusaur will max in its face and not really have anything to deal with Celesteela, so it's pretty good. Next, we have Celesteela Max Airstream into an Assault Vest, Rillaboom, 252 HP and 4 Special D, hitting 117 to 140, which is a guaranteed Oko. Kill the monkey. Easy stuff, good stuff. I like it. Next, we have 252 plus Special Attack Life Orb Celesteela Max Steel Spike into the 236 HP, 12 Special Defense, which is currently the most used spread on Pickalytics, by the way, into the Tapu Fini, hitting 62 to 74, which is guaranteed 2-hit KO, with a good bit of room, you know, to allow it to take a special, like, get a little bit more Special D investment because, you know, this is a pretty rough spread. Also, if it Calm Minds up, we are not taking that 2-hit KO. Well, we are if we hit first, but we're not going to be, so yeah, Calm Mind, Tapu Fini is a pretty solid strat against this, but once again, you know, the Power Herb strats can be really, really powerful for it as well, and it doesn't do any damage to Celesteela, so it's whatever, it's a good matchup. Anyway, that is it for our damage calcs. We're pretty far into this video, so I'm going to move it along pretty quickly here. So, Single Spotlight Celesteela. This is a really cool version as well. I went for the Power Herb, you know, Power Herb and Meteor Beam strat for this as well, but we also went with Automatize, and Automatize is actually really interesting for this Pokemon. It gives you +2 speed, which makes this actually a really fast Pokemon, so you go Automatize, your opponent's switching around, like whatever, and then you surprise them, shoot them with a Meteor Beam, easy money. Power Herb, now you're +1 attack, or +1 special attack, as well as +2 speed right off the bat. You're taking Beast Boost left and right. This Pokemon becomes an absurdly strong Pokemon, and is actually wildly impressive, and does a lot of damage. It's pretty crazy. Air Slash for stab, Flamethrower for coverage. You could go for Flash Cannon instead of something like that, but it just covers, you know, a lot of stuff. 252 into special attack, modest nature, as well as 252 into speed, and the leftover 4 into special D. Pretty good stuff. Anyway, that is about it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe. It really makes a whole lot of a difference. You know, only like 30% of people are subscribed that watch my videos. So hit that subscribe button. It's free, and it really, you know, it helps a lot. Anyway, Celesteela, in sum up, I think is a really good Pokemon. You know, it's very consistent. It has multiple ways of play, and it's very, very good. Anyway, that is it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you had a good holiday. Hope you have good holidays in the future. And, you know, YouTube plug. Hey, do all those things in the description down below. Watch me live on Twitch. You know, join the Patreon. Join the Discord. Follow me on Twitter. Do all those things. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.